Poilievre is the leader of Canada's Conservative Party. He wants to restore Canada's promise. He will fight for a Canada that rewards hard work. He will put Canadians back in control of their lives. He will stop the out-of-control inflationary spending that has made life unaffordable. He will remove the gatekeepers that block Canadians from making things at home. He will restore safe streets. Pierre believes in a country where the state is the servant, not the master, where smaller governments make room for bigger citizens. Under Pierre's leadership, Ottawa will finally get out of the way for Canadians' future. I am honored to introduce to you our next Prime Minister, the Honourable Pierre Poilievre.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Anna, for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Beautifully said, and thank you very much to the prosecutor, Larry Brock, Member of Parliament for Brantford-Brant. He is not only a great MP, he was a Crown prosecutor, and he has been prosecuting corruption and other criminal justice failures on the floor of the House of Commons and in committee, and he's become a bit of a YouTube sensation. I encourage you to look him up. He's very famous. He will be available for selfies afterwards as well for his many adoring fans. I'm sorry I was late. I was just touring the subway station over in at the Etobicoke subway station. The crime, of course, is raging out of control. Crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder have ruled our streets after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. We know that this is partly because of Trudeau's catch and release policy, where he brings the same criminals into the system and then releases them out of the system the same day. The same 40 criminals arrested 6,000 times in 1 year in Vancouver. 6,000 people hit with baseball bats, stabbed in the chest, attacked randomly on the street because Trudeau brought in liberal bail, which allows the repeat offender to go out again and again and again. We know that he has caused massive drug overdoses by not only decriminalizing drugs in BC, but also by giving out taxpayer-funded hydromorphine, which is even stronger than heroin, rather than giving people treatment. And we know that people are getting into drugs because they feel hopeless. 35-year-olds living in their parents' basement after housing costs have doubled under Trudeau. The average rent has gone, for one bedroom, has gone from about $1,000 8 years ago to over $2,000 today. The average monthly mortgage payment has gone from $1,400 to $3,200. The average needed down payment for a minimum has gone from $22,000 to almost $50,000. And the share of a person's monthly paycheck required to make payments on the average home has gone from 39% to well over 60%. And well over 60% of your pre-tax income is required to own the average house under Justin Trudeau. That's because our incomes are too low and our housing costs are too high. This is life after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. Everything feels broken. Meanwhile, he turns over our democracy to foreign interference, allowing a foreign dictatorship to influence our elections, to support his election victory, to donate $140,000 to the Trudeau Foundation, and then to continue doing it by refusing to call a public inquiry to expose this interference and protect Canadians and our security in the future. Everything feels broken after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. But the good news is we're going to turn the hurt that he has caused into the hope that Canadians need. We're going to rely on the common sense of the common people, united for our common home, to do it. We'll bring home lower prices by ending the Liberal carbon tax, which is expected to go up to 61 cents a litre. It's 14 cents a litre now. Trudeau wants it to go to 61 cents a litre. I'll get rid of it.
Yes. So you're talking about housing nowadays, and your solution to housing is removing the gatekeepers.
Yes.
Do you think removing the gatekeepers is the only solution to housing? And if we increase the number of houses, does that implicate that the prices would go down? And if so, how are you planning to support those who are purchasing the houses at the current rates and who might incur losses in the future?
Well, a couple of things. You asked two questions, really. One is this the only solution? And the second is, what would this do to people who already purchase houses at high prices? Okay, so let's start with the first one. It's the most important solution, because the problem we have in Canada is that we don't have enough houses. It's that simple. The Americans have 10 times the population on a smaller landmass, and yet their housing prices are significantly lower than ours. What could possibly be the cause of that? Well, they have far more homes per capita. They allow builders to build. So you can get a very nice house for $200,000 or $300,000 in the States. Even sometimes there's a picture I put out the other day, Niagara, Canada, Niagara, the US. So the difference really is just government gatekeepers block construction here. That's the biggest problem. There are some smaller problems, like government deficits drive up interest rates, which make mortgages more expensive. We need more trades workers. So I want to speed up immigration for building trade workers, allow building trade unions to sponsor immigrants, bring them here on work permits, and then they can become permanent residents and citizens. And I want to give the same financial support to trades as we give to professions. Right now we give everything to universities and white-collar education. We need more for the people who we train to build stuff, fix stuff, move stuff, and improve stuff. That is, so those are some of the smaller issues, but the big issue really is to get the gatekeepers out of the way. What is this going to do to people who bought high? Well, I'll be honest, I don't see house prices come crashing down no matter what we do, but I can see us moderating them and allowing incomes to catch up with house prices. The problem we have right now is that incomes have gone like this and house prices have gone like this. And you can see it, and then the multiples of the number of years of income it takes to buy a house has skyrocketed in Canada. And when you use that multiple, Vancouver is the 3rd worst in the world, Toronto's the 10th worst in the whole world, worse than Manhattan, Singapore, etc. What we need to do is have incomes rise faster than house prices. That's the only way that housing will become affordable. To do that, we need to build, build, build.
Just so when you talk about bringing in more immigrants, how are you planning to combat the problem of labor shortage, at the same time not compromising on Canadian standards? I know you mentioned about the generalized test, but are you looking for other options like stipends or free training?
You mean, when you say training, you mean for new immigrants? We do have programs already, the immigrant settlement money that the federal government puts aside for newcomers to integrate into the Canadian economy. I think the best way, though, to make sure that immigrants succeed in our economy is to make it employer-driven and make it so that employers can quickly sponsor newcomers on work permits to fill jobs that Canadians cannot fill, and then create a pathway for those newcomers to go from a work permit to a permanent residency and to citizenship. That way, we know that they're coming here for a job that actually exists because they'll be sponsored by someone hiring them. They will already have the training that qualifies them for the job, or they can continue to learn on the job. I also think unions should be allowed to sponsor, because we forget a lot of the trade unions do the training. They're not just advocates. They're actually training. If you go to the training halls, the iron workers, the carpenters union, they're training centers. And the head of the laborers union, LAUNA, tells me he needs 50,000 workers, and he can train them. He can get them working today on jobs where they're building skills and earning at the same time. Earning and learning. Instantly contributing to building our country. That's how Canada was built. Like the waves of Italians and Portuguese who came over, and they joined LAUNA. I have an Italian buddy. I go to his folks' house for a big Italian dinner every once in a while on a Sunday, and he's got his big LAUNA plaque on the wall. And he came over, worked in construction, paved roads, built bridges. That's how the country was built. Waves after waves of immigrants who built stuff and then gave their kids a better opportunity. Yeah. And that's the common sense immigration we need to restore.